Eala makes epic comeback. Fire watched this clash against Japan's Uchijima at the Wuhan Open. The Wuhan Tennis Center was alive with energy. The floodlights cut through the humid evening air, illuminating a sea of eager faces. Flags waved, camera flashes glittered like fireflies, and the buzz of multilingual chatter swirled through the stands. On center court, two young women stood poised under that blinding spotlight, warriors ready to duel. On one side, Eala, the 19-year-old Filipino sensation, a left-handed prodigy with fire in her heart and power in her strokes. She had clawed her way into the Wuhan Open main draw with grit, poise, and a growing global fan base that admired her relentless spirit. On the other side, Moeka Uchijima, Japan's rising star, known for her speed, precision, and unshakable calm, a counterpuncher of exquisite timing. She had beaten two top 50 players earlier in the week and came into this match with quiet confidence. The stakes were high, the atmosphere electric, the stage set for a thriller. Opening act, the struggle begins. From a very first point, it was clear this was going to be no ordinary match. Uchijima began with pinpoint accuracy, moving Eala around like a chess master, controlling the board. Her forehand was compact, her serve consistent, her defense airtight. Eala, meanwhile, was aggressive but erratic. Her winners were stunning. Laser forehands that whizzed past Ukijima's reach, but the unforced errors piled up just as quickly. At 2-3, Eala faced triple break point. The tension could be felt even from the upper rows of the arena. She saved two with blistering aces, but Ukijima's relentless defense earned her the break on the third. Moments later, the scoreboard read 6-3, Uchijima. The Japanese player pumped her fist quietly. Eala looked frustrated, muttering something under her breath as she sat down for the changeover. Her coach, Daniel Gomez, leaned forward in the player's box, motioning with calm gestures. Breathe. Reset. The first set was gone, but the match was far from over. The fire within. As the second set began, something changed. Eala's eyes, once clouded by frustration, now burned with focus. She started reading Ukijima's patterns, cutting off angles, stepping into returns earlier. She began the second set with a statement. Bang! A 108 miles per hour race. Crack! A forehand winner down the line. Boom! Another backhand that painted the sideline. The crowd gasped. Even Uchijima looked momentarily stunned. Eala had found her rhythm, and when she did, her game was poetry in motion. Power and artistry fused into one. At 2-0, she broke Uchijima with a gorgeous forehand pass that left the Japanese player flat-footed. The Filipino fans erupted, chanting, "Let's go, Alex. Let's go." For the first time that night, the entire stadium was on her side. Rally of the year, at 3-1. A rally began that would be replayed across social media for days. 24 shots. Every inch of the court covered. Eala attacked with a heavy topspin forehand. Uchijima countered with a deep slice. Eala responded with a drop shot. Uchijima chased it down and lifted a perfect lob. Eala backpedaled, jumped, and smashed it overhead, but Uchijima got a racket on it. The crowd held its breath. Finally, on the 24th shot, Eala struck a running forehand down the line that clipped the edge of the sideline. Winner. She let out a primal scream. Come on! As the crowd exploded. Even the commentators were momentarily speechless. That's world-class tennis, one said. This young woman is rewriting her destiny in front of us. The turning tide. At 4-1, Eala's confidence was unshakable. Her serves now carried extra venom. Her forehands painted corners like an artist brushing color onto canvas. Uchijima, known for her composure, began to frown, something rare for the stoic Japanese star. Eala broke again for 5-1 after a spectacular forehand winner that sent her sliding on the baseline. Then came the clincher. Serving for the set, Eala fired an ace down the tee, sealing at 6-1. She raised her fist high, her expression fierce but grateful. The crowd roared like thunder, waving Philippine flags. It was official. The match was going to a deciding set. Flashbacks of a fighter. During the changeover, As she sipped from her water bottle, Eala's mind drifted, not in distraction, but in reflection. She remembered being 12 years old, training at the Rafa Nadal Academy in Mallorca. Long nights, endless drills, the Spanish sun burning her skin, coaches pushing her limits, the words of Nadal himself echoing in her ears. The difference between good and great is the fight you bring when you're tired. She had lived those words her entire career. And now, under the bright lights of Wuhan, she was living them again. The decider, third set, tension at its peak. Uchijima, determined not to collapse, regrouped quickly. She adjusted her tactics, mixing in slices, rushing the net, breaking Eala's rhythm. The Japanese star broke early, taking a 2-0 lead. But Eala didn't flinch. Instead, she smiled. It wasn't a smile of arrogance. It was a smile of belief. From that moment, she flipped the script again. Her returns grew heavier, her footwork sharper. She played like a storm unleashed, fearless and free. In one game, she hit 3 consecutive forehand winners that each drew gasps from the audience. In another, she chased a drop shot, slid across the court, and somehow flicked the ball for a winner while nearly off balance. Momentum was back in her hands. The battle of wills. At 3-3, the rallies became brutal, physically draining, emotionally exhausting. The crowd leaned forward in their seats, barely breathing. Every point felt like a mini-war. Ukijima's defense was world-class. Eala's aggression was unstoppable. At deuce, one rally went for 27 shots. The sound of the ball echoed rhythmically, pop, 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 until Eala finally unleashed a cross-court backhand that kissed the line. Her scream of triumph shook the stadium. Her parents, watching from Manila, reportedly jumped from their seats at home, yelling in joy. A nation watches. As the scoreboard read 5-4, social media lit up. Twitter trends. Hashtag AlexEala, hashtag when open, hashtag Pinoy Pride. Clips of her second set dominance were already circulating. Fans editing slow-motion replays of her forehands with dramatic music. Filipino athletes, celebrities, and even government officials tweeted support. One tweet read, "AlexEala's fight tonight shows what it means to be Filipino, heart, courage, and never giving up. Philippines." She wasn't just playing for a win anymore. She was carrying her country's pride on her shoulders. Match point magic. 5-4, Eala serving for the match. Every fan in the stadium stood. She took a deep breath, bounced the ball 5 times, and whispered something under her breath, a short prayer. First serve, ace down the line. Second point, Uchijima over its return. Third, long rally. Eala fires a forehand winner. 40-0, 3 match points. The tension was suffocating. Eala tossed the ball high. The serve landed deep. Uchijima blocked it back, high and short. Eala stepped in and hammered a forehand into the open court. Game, set, match, Eala. She dropped her racket, fell to her knees, and covered her face as tears of triumph spilled out. The crowd erupted, chanting her name. It was a moment frozen in time. The night AlexEala conquered one of the toughest battles of her young career. The aftershock, her post-match interview, was raw and heartfelt. "I told myself to believe," she said, voice trembling. "Even when I was down, I knew I could find a way back. This win means a lot, not just for me, but for every young athlete back home dreaming big." The interviewer smiled. "What was going through your mind during the comeback?" Eala laughed softly. "That no point was too far gone. I just wanted to fight, to make it beautiful, even in chaos." Respect at the net. Uchijima approached her with grace, offering a genuine smile and a firm handshake. The two shared a brief moment of mutual respect. "You were amazing tonight," Uchijima said. "So were you," Eala replied, bowing slightly. In that instant, there were no rivals, only two athletes who had given everything they had for themselves and for their nations. The world reacts. By midnight, the tennis world was buzzing. WTA Insider. AlexEala delivers one of the most inspiring comebacks of the season, from a set-down to victory at the Wuhan Open. ESPN Asia. Filipino fire on full display. Eala's courage and power ignite Wuhan. Rafael Nadal, her mentor, posted a short message on Instagram. Proud of you at alex.eala. The fight never lies. Within hours, the clip of her match points surpassed 1 million views online. Behind the scenes, in the locker room, after the adrenaline faded, Eala sat quietly, a towel around her shoulders. Her phone buzzed endlessly, messages of congratulations from friends, family, and fans. Her coach smiled from across the room. You played like a champion today, Alex. She nodded, eyes tired but glowing. I felt like one. But she also knew tomorrow would bring another challenge, another match. Victory was sweet, but for Alex, the journey was never about one win. It was about growth, discipline, and heart. Reflections at midnight. Later that night, she walked out onto the empty stadium. The seats were deserted. The floodlights dimmed. The only sound was the gentle hum of the city in the distance. She looked up at the sky, at the same stars that shone above Manila, above Mallorca, above every court she had ever played on. She whispered to herself, every match is a step closer. It wasn't just about trophies anymore. It was about leaving a legacy for Filipino tennis, for young girls dreaming with rackets in their hands, for those who believe that even from a small island nation, greatness could rise. Epilogue, the legend continues. The Wuhan Open would go down in memory not just for the victory, but for the spirit it revealed. Eala's comeback wasn't just a turnaround in score. It was a story of resilience, belief, and destiny. Months later, analysts would still cite it as the match that marked her transformation from rising star to legitimate contender. And years later, when fans would speak of the epic clash at Wuhan, they would remember the night Eala showed the world what it means to fight with heart. Final words. It wasn't just tennis, wrote one commentator the next morning. It was courage, wrapped in a racket, lit by 1,000 dreams. And somewhere in a quiet hotel room, Eala smiled at her reflection, knowing the story of her comeback was only just beginning. Tennis Fire, thank you for watching. Please don't forget to hit the subscribe button, like, and share. Till next time.